I just want to begin by saying that this is a very special day because it's Victory Day, World War II, May 8th, and just by happenstance, we have the Prime Minister on the phone, and we were great allies in that, and it's very unusual that the trade deal comes due, and we signed it up on the same day that we had a great victory, the greatest victory of them all.
President Trump in the Oval Office today with the Vice President of the United States and Cabinet Secretaries about and announcing a trade deal with the United Kingdom and doing it on this date, which is commonly referred to as Victory in Europe Day, or VE Day, May 8th. And that was, of course, 1945. 80 years ago today, VE Day, Victory in Europe Day. We still weren't done, of course, because the Empire of Japan was still waging war in the Pacific and in Asia. It would be some time before the United States brought a screeching halt to that war, the Pacific War, and finally ending World War II, the deadliest war in the history of the world. You may be aware that the dropping of the bomb on Hiroshima on August 6th of 1945, the first use of an atomic bomb in combat, in warfare. And the Japanese were not convinced. They said, no, I don't think that's going to do it for us. You guys have not impressed us. And then on August 9th, now, of course, the Enola Gay, the B-29 bomber, the Enola Gay, flown by Captain Paul Tibbets, flew into Japan, Japanese airspace, and dropped the bomb on Hiroshima on August 6th. And then Boxcar, lesser-known B-29, Boxcar named for the pilot of the airplane, B-O-C-H or B-O-C-K, Boxcar. And we dropped the bomb on Nagasaki 3 days later, August 9th. And then the Japanese had to think about it for a few more days. I don't know. I don't think I want to give up. I think we can still kill more people and all that. That's amazing stuff. Now, here's something that is kind of remarkable. Since it's VE Day, Victory in Europe Day, and all that stuff, the United States government made Purple Heart medals. Purple Heart medals are awarded to U.S. forces wounded in combat or killed in combat. And the U.S. government produced so many Purple Heart medals preparing for the invasion of Japan that we are still using those Purple Heart medals for our wounded troops. That's how many casualties were expected with the invasion of Japan. The United States government produced Purple Heart medals that have lasted from the end of World War II to the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the post-9/11 wars, every Purple Heart that has been issued. I just learned this a couple of days ago. I didn't know this. I haven't independently gone to research it, but a good, reliable reporter told me this a couple of days ago. Remarkable stuff, I've got to say. But President Trump announcing a trade deal with the United Kingdom today at the Oval Office, and he had the British Prime Minister on the phone, on the speaker phone at the desk. It was great stuff, quite remarkable. And interestingly, there is a new poll that came out yesterday, a YouGov poll. People do or do not think nuking Hiroshima and Nagasaki morally justified, and it's kind of an interesting poll. During World War II, the American Air Force dropped 2 atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Do you think these atomic bombings were or were not morally justified? And interestingly, you look at the countries in the United States, 38% of us say yes, morally justified, and 35% say no, not morally justified. 26% are Democrats. They said they don't know. They just don't know. Isn't that interesting? Kind of fascinating. So 38% of Americans say yes, morally justified. And in Great Britain, only 26% say morally justified. In France, only 17% say morally justified. Interestingly, perhaps ironically, in Germany, only 6% say morally justified. Only 9% in Italy and only 11% in Spain. Interesting, it doesn't have Japan in here. I think you'd want to put Japan in there. But this is not the anniversary, of course, of the... and think about this now. It's May, all right? And that was Victory in Europe Day, May 8th, 1945. Now, think about how long it would be until, in 1945, until August 6th and August 9th. And by the way, the Japanese took some time, even after that, to surrender. September 2nd and all that. August 15th, I think they may have actually surrendered, and then we got the signing on the fantail of the USS Missouri in Tokyo Bay. And I believe that was August 15th. Wasn't that August 15th? VJ Day, Victory over Japan, Victory in Japan Day. And that's when the photograph of the sailor kissing the nurse in Times Square. And that was really, really the end of World War II. Still, men died after that, coming home and everything else. And there were a lot of Japanese out on islands that were still fighting until like 1978. That's only half joke, but it is half joke. Remarkable stuff. So we got that going on. We do have that going on. Now, with that said, so many wackadoodle stories. And one of them, I thought this was kind of a fun story that I just wanted to share with you. It's got nothing to do with anything in particular. But a poll was taken. The New York Post has the story. This country has the most beautiful women in the world. And this came out, I saw this today. And I asked Michael Piercy, and he said, his answer was, well, the United States of America. That's what he said. And I said, that's a great answer. What a great answer. We have women that come from all over the world and look like women from all over the world. And we certainly have a very, very good record on that matter. And then he said, but, the conventional thinking is, and Michael said, maybe Sweden. That would be a very popular answer, I would think. Or Norway, because, blonde, tall, lean, athletic, pretty nice, all that stuff, beautiful. It's a good stereotype to have if you're Sweden or Norway. And there's a lot of that going on in the region. And we didn't know how the beautiful women in Eastern Europe until the fall of the Soviet Union. Look at Melania Trump, for example, just to name one. But here's the fun story. This country, New York Post, has the most beautiful women in the world. And it's a short flight from the U.S. A short flight from the U.S. Huh. How about that? A subjective topic, to say the least, they write in the Post, is which country has the best-looking people? Now, they changed it from women to people, right? Many people will be biased and rule that where they live, having, the hottest residents, but according to Insider Monkey, a Reddit user, Colombia, the nation of Colombia, is reportedly home to the most beautiful women in the world. The site led a survey through Reddit in which users voted on which countries they think have the most stunning women. And they have a photograph of a woman at the beach, but Colombian women were described as having the highest beauty ideals across the globe, with healthy hair, exotic eyes, and feminine expressions. Sure. Coming in number 2 on the list is Poland. Poland. You might not expect that. But I've got to say, I wouldn't argue with the Colombia, most beautiful woman in the world. The Latin American beauty and the stark raving dark hair and the dark skin and the pallor. It's true, the eyes and the whole thing. And I don't want to generalize, but the Latinx, as Joe Biden might say, the Latinx look, a beautiful, wonderful, spectacular look. And Poland, I'm surprised that ranks number 2, I've got to say. Not because Polish women aren't beautiful, because they absolutely are. And it's a little crazy. Then what country has the most grotesque, hideous women in the world? I don't know. What, Uzbeks? Who do we have? What do we have? I don't want to offend. No, definitely not. No, definitely not the most grotesque. Uzbeks are not there. Who would be the? But this is kind of a fun thing. Greek women also made the cut. Voters said they'd rather admire the women here than in the country's the country's natural landmarks, which is saying a lot. And I've spent a lot of time in Greece, and I love Greece. And I grew up with a lot of Greek people in Chicago. I always loved the Greeks. Greeks are more fun than almost anybody when it comes to generalizing based on that. Great stuff. But women in Greece more beautiful than the natural landmarks, and there are many wonderful, beautiful. Russia and the Czech Republic rounded out the top 5 with the most attractive ladies. This is kind of fun. This is more fun than I thought it was going to be. And Colombia, big win for Colombia, I've got to say. And that's great. You can't argue with that. Poland, I can't argue with that. And Russia, Czech Republic, that's all good stuff. That's fun. I like that. All right, now, unfortunately, there are more crazy Democrats. Well, not unfortunately. Crazy Democrats everywhere. Let's go to the soundbite number 8. Bernie the Bolshevik Sanders. He appeared on the Fox News channel with Bret Baier to do an interview in the studio at the big Lucite desk and all that. And it's pretty fun stuff. I've talked about this on the radio. Bernie Sanders going around doing this anti-oligarch thing. He's also been advised by Democrat consultants to stop doing the oligarch thing because most Democrats don't know what the word oligarch means. They know they're supposed to hate and cheer and firebomb things. But so here's Bret Baier asking Bernie the Bolshevik about flying around on private jets to go complain about wealthy people. Could you be a bigger hypocrite? As the way I might have phrased the question. It went like this.
You've gotten criticized from other people. Free Beacon says Bernie Sanders spent $221,000 on private jets fighting the oligarchy tour paid for by friends of Bernie Sanders. That you've spent millions of dollars in campaign funds on private jet travel over the years. How do you push back on both of those things?
When's the last time you saw Donald Trump during a campaign mode at National Airport?
No. It doesn't. But he's also not fighting the oligarchy.
No.
And he's the president.
You run a campaign and you do 3 or 4 or 5 rallies in a week. The only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United, waiting, 30,000 people are waiting? That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that.
No apologies for that. Donald Trump owns his own 757, and he has for a great many years. That's a Boeing airliner as his private airplane. So naturally, he's not going to be waiting in line, you maroon. The guy is an ignorant Bolshevik, just extraordinary. I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm spitting food out from between my teeth. The gaps in my teeth are containing food, which I sometimes save for later. I'm fighting the oligarch. Of course I have to fly. It reminds me of Boltneck, John Kerry, when he was flying on his wife's private Gulfstream jet to a climate summit. And he was mocked for flying a private jet to a climate summit. And he said, well, people like me, I'm very important. Of course I have to fly private.
I understand that you came here with a private jet. Is that an environmental way to travel?
If you offset your carbon, it's the only choice for somebody like me who is traveling the world to win this battle.
He's winning this battle. I've got more Bernie the Bolshevik coming up, and I have an interesting update on the murder of American journalist Daniel Pearl as well. I have an update for you on that today. You know, if you've had enough of the big wireless runaround, those companies, it's time to switch to Consumer Cellular. I got my Consumer Cellular phone. It's an amazing phone and great service. You'll get the same fast, reliable, nationwide coverage as the big wireless companies, but without the big wireless policies and without the mega corporation shenanigans, where they force you into an unlimited data plan that you might not even need. Consumer Cellular isn't a prepaid option. You pick a plan, and you know exactly how much your bill is going to be every month. It's incredibly easy to switch. Just call, and you're going to speak to an actual human being based right here in the United States of America. They make switching your plan fast and easy. And now you can get your second month for free with my special promo code Chris, because we're friends and you hang out with me. Taxes and third-party fees apply, so check out consumercellular.com/Chris for more information, or give them a call on the phone at 1-800-760-0702. Yeah, I've got more Bernie the Bolshevik being a hypocrite, which is what he does, and an update on the murder by a radical Islamic terrorist decapitating him, Daniel Pearl. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. That is well. There is a story out today that I didn't expect to see. The government of India announced that its military has killed the terrorist, the radical Islamic jihadi terrorist, that beheaded American journalist Daniel Pearl. Jewish-American journalist Daniel Pearl, who had been kidnapped by the troglodytes and held hostage and tortured and then murdered, and video of decapitation. And Daniel Pearl, not one of the bad guys, one of the good guys downrange, trying to do the right thing and report the truth and report the news. And now India's government, the Jerusalem Post, is reporting today that the government of India says that they have killed the radical Islamic jihadi terrorists that decapitated very savagely and brutally, and they made videotape of it and posted it so everyone could see who they are. Daniel Pearl, Wall Street Journal reporter, South Asia bureau chief, beheaded on camera by al-Qaeda-affiliated Pakistani terrorists in 2002, 23 years ago now. But the Indian government announced on Thursday, that's today, they're a little ahead of us in the hours, that the military had killed the Islamic terrorist who beheaded Jewish-American journalist Daniel Pearl. The BJP party, India's governing party, said that the Indian army killed Pakistani terrorist Abdul Rauf Azhar in Operation Sindhur. A group of Islamic terrorists, including Azhar, kidnapped and murdered Pearl in 2002. Interesting. It might have been Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. There's a woman in Maryland, in Frederick County, Maryland, north of the city of Washington, D.C., about an hour drive, 45 minutes maybe. And her name is Heather Fletcher. Heather Fletcher is running, I'm looking at her website right now, Heather Fletcher for Frederick County Board of Education. A brighter future. Let's make a difference together. All right, Heather Fletcher running for the school board. She looks like a lovely, perfectly normal person here. A nice-looking person. Looks like she'd be a nice neighbor. What I stand for, her website says, honesty. That's number one. I'm committed to being truthful and transparent with parents. It's maybe a little play on words as we go. Being truthful and transparent with parents, guardians, teachers, and staff members. Together, we can restore trust between families and the Frederick County Public Schools. Parental rights. She's for parental rights, right? I will actively listen to and respect the voices of all parents and guardians. I promise to maintain an open dialogue with the community on important decisions and will to uphold the laws designed to protect both parents and their children. Now, this is kind of fun stuff. Keep politics and controversial ideologies out of education. I will advocate for the repeal of harmful policies that make Frederick County Public Schools a safe and wonderful place for every student to learn. What a crazy idea that is. Now, here's the funny thing. There was a school board meeting in Frederick, and Heather Fletcher, who's running for a school board, showed up at the school board meeting, and the school board meeting is ongoing, and she entered, and the audio, we have audio for you, but it's a little bit difficult to hear, but I'll explain it to you. She went in, and the school board meeting is going on, and Heather Fletcher, running for school board, went up to the dais where the members of the school board were seated, and she sat down, where the members of the school board were seated. She is not yet an elected member of the school board, but she is running. So it is, it's great. And now here's the Frederick News Post. School board candidate who disrupted meeting removed by sheriff's deputy. And here's a photograph of a sheriff's deputy in uniform with a pistol and body armor and his badge on. And he is, in fact, removing this nice lady. Frederick County Sheriff's Office deputy removed Heather Fletcher, a registered candidate for the 2026 Frederick County Board of Education, from a board meeting on Wednesday after she claimed to identify as an elected board member and tried to sit at the dais with board members. Now, I'm going to play the audio for you. So this nice woman, she's running for school board, and there's videotape here, and she walked in, and she looks nattily dressed, and she has on her head, I think they're like cat ears, kind of like a hair beret, but with two little black cat ears on it. And she walked in, and she walked up to the dais and went to sit down, and they said, well, you can't sit here. You're not a member of the school board. And she said, well, I identify as a member of the school board. And isn't that all we need? So it sounded like this. We're going to ask you to leave. Come on, let's go. We're going to ask you to leave. Come on, let's go. Somebody called the cops.
Reality. Huh? Quit lying to our kids.
Transphobe.
Okay.
We're not going to engage. We're just going to ask you to leave.
She said, so she sat down, and they said, well, you can't sit here. You're not a member of the school board. And she said, I identify as a member of the school board. And they said, somebody call the cops. We got to get her out of here. And then she said, oh, so it's not real. Wait a minute. So you can't just say I identify as a girl, even though I'm a boy, and then I can play girls' sports? So she's making a point by mocking and ridiculing them. Say, well, wait, I identify as a school member, and that should be good enough. Since you tell me that a boy identifying as a girl makes that boy a girl, if I identify as a school board member, then you must acknowledge that I am a school board member because that's the way I identify.
I guess it isn't reality. Huh? Quit lying to our kids.
Transphobe.
And the beep is not the nice lady. It's one of the Democrats there who called her a beeping transphobe, because they all know what she's mocking, what she's ridiculing, making a point that you can't just identify as an astronaut, and now you're an astronaut. You can't just identify as an elected member of the board. Fletcher also claimed that she identified as a cat because she wore cat ears that I described a moment ago. And they say, well, you're not a cat. Well, but wait a minute. When boys say, I'm a girl, you all say, yeah, you're a girl. And now you can steal trophies from actual girls, right? Pretty amazing stuff. Policy 44 was created to prevent discrimination, stigmatization, and harassment and bullying of students who are transgender or gender nonconforming, and to create a school culture and school cultures that are safe, welcoming, and affirming for all students, in particular the mentally ill students. And again, one Democrat sitting in the audience, in the crowd, as a certain number of people, a couple dozen people perhaps, and one of the guys curses at her and calls her a beeping transphobe, barking at her violently. A man threatening a woman with cat ears who identifies as a member of the school board. Aren't they amazing? And she was referring to a gender identity policy in Frederick County Public Schools. Fletcher also identified as an elected board member and sat at the school board member Nancy Allen's seat. She wasn't there. Allen wasn't there, and joined the meeting virtually, probably because of the Wuhan or something like that. So I think that's kind of fun. As Fletcher walked back to the audience, one person called her an effing transphobe, the article. It's a pretty good article on what happened there, actually. Sure, the sheriff's deputy, then escorted Fletcher out of the boardroom because the fascists are in charge, and they're mentally ill, and they reject science and biology and genealogy. And that brings us to our next, because there is a hearing going on Capitol Hill today. You've heard of it. It's a hill with a big white building, a domed building on it. But the hearing on Capitol Hill today had Jasmine Crockett, the lunatic, radical extremist, mentally ill Democrat from Texas, and Congresswoman Nancy Mace, a Republican, was there. And they had a guest named Fatima Goss Graves, who's the CEO of the National Women's Law Center. And Fatima Goss Graves, the CEO of the National Women's Law Center, was there to defend transgender people, that is males, boys, and men, competing in sports as women, even though they're not. And Nancy Mace, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, was having none of this. She wasn't sitting still, but Fatima Goss Graves, CEO, National Women's Law Center, doesn't know what a woman is, even though she's the CEO of the National Women's Law Center. And she got a couple of, shall I say, pointed questions from Nancy Mace.
In your opening statement today, you said trans women are women. Ms. Goss Graves, what is a woman?
So a woman is an adult female. A woman identifies as a woman, and I actually think it is.
What do you consider a female? What is a female?
So there are some women who were assigned a female.
You say you're here to defend women. You say you're here to defend women, but shouldn't you be able to define one? Shouldn't you be able to define one if you're for women's rights?
And she just babbles. There's no, the Congresswoman has a right to ask her question in full. Well, a woman as identifies, she started the identifies thing, and Nancy Mace saw, because she already knew before the hearing started that this woman, Fatima Goss Graves, of the CEO of the National Women's Law Center, ironically, was going to deny the existence of women, and it continued.
Ms. Goss Graves, do women have penises?
Uh-oh.
So, again, I believe that women...
Democrats have gone so crazy.
Yes
women
or no?
have penises. That's not a thing. That's not biology. It's not science. And you sound like a lunatic.
And the women...
Should young girls just get used to penises in their locker rooms and showers? My next question, yes or no? Should little girls
just keeps
get used to penises in their locker rooms and showers? Yes or no?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Maybe she's running for the Supreme Court. Because, a future Democrat president might pick this woman. She's a woman. I can tell. And I've never met her in person, but I know the difference. She doesn't know the difference. But she's testifying on Capitol Hill. And what an irony. They have no sense of irony, these people. CEO of the National Women's Law Center. And she can't tell you what. She started out okay. An adult female human. That's what a woman is. And a girl as a female human below the age of 18, you see. Amazing stuff. But she's there to defend. Anybody that says they're a woman is a woman. That's anti-science, it's anti-biology, it's anti-culture, it's anti-civilizational. And it's the Democrat Party today. And they also had, in the hearing, a Democrat lunatic named Jasmine Crockett. Very, very sad story. Pretty woman, dumb as, and actually that's not quite fair. She doesn't have a low IQ. She's crazy. She went to private Catholic schools. She speaks very well when she chooses to, but she loves to kind of do the ghetto speak all the time because she's keeping it real. And Jasmine Crockett was there. She had her chance to ask Fatima Goss-Graves, the CEO of the National Women's Law Center, any question she'd like, and she immediately went off the rails.
Miss Goss-Graves, I want to play a game. It's called Trump or Trans. You ready?
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to tell me whether or not it is Trump or trans people that are responsible. You
Trump or
understand?
trans people.
Okay, very good. The first one, good at medical research.
Good at?
Kidnapping Americans and sending them to foreign countries, a.k.a. deporting them.
Trump.
Driving us into a recession.
Trump.
Increasing the cost of everything.
Trump.
Waging an idiotic tariff war.
Trump.
Harming farmers.
Trump.
Ignoring the Constitution.
Trump.
Proposing to take away Social Security.
Trump.
Cutting health care.
Trump.
Firing government workers who keep our country safe.
They keep our country safe.
Encouraging an environment of hate and divisiveness.
I think I know what her next answer is going to be.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's good. We have a really low, honestly, we have the dumbest Congress I've ever seen. I've been watching for 35 years, the Congress of the United States. We have never had a stupider Congress in all the time I've been paying attention. And these people are criminally stupid. They're profoundly, dangerously idiotic. Just amazing. Now, President Trump, but that's a Democrat, and it's quite sad because she could be a normal person, but I guess not. Now, President Trump at the White House today had the British Prime Minister, a funny little man, on the speakerphone in the Oval Office, the Vice President, J.D. Vance, next to him, and his Commerce Secretary next to him as well, announcing a trade deal with the United Kingdom.
The Prime Minister, and I'd like to introduce him now to say a few words. Mr. Prime Minister, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. President, Donald. And this is a really fantastic, historic day in which we can announce
historic
deal
day
between our two great countries. And I think it's a real tribute to the history that we have of working so closely together. Can I pay tribute, Donald, to your negotiating team as well, particularly Howard and Jameson, who've done an incredible job, a very professional job.
Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, and he's expressed. Now, the news media will not play any of that for you because they're not in the truth business. They're in the Democrat Party propaganda business. Aren't they amazing? So President Trump announced a trade agreement with the United Kingdom, kind of a big deal, and he said it's the first of many. And the news media is just going to attack it because it's what they do. And then they'll tell you that boys are girls and men are women, and Lola is their favorite song. They're not well. These people are not well. Kind of a big deal. Also, I hope I can get to see J.D. Vance in Germany yesterday telling the Europeans that, maybe they should start doing things for themselves and not waiting for us to do everything for them. Hopefully I can get to that as well. Mother's Day is coming, and as Mother's Day approaches, I want to highlight a great organization that cares very deeply for mothers and for unborn babies, and that is Preborn. Preborn's nationwide network of clinics. Clinics offer love and life and support to pregnant mothers who are feeling pressure to make the ultimate choice, as Democrats refer to it. When a distressed mother comes to Preborn, she's greeted with love and care and offered a free ultrasound so that she can see and hear the precious life growing inside of her. And the goal is to help her make the right decision, to choose life. And it works very, very often. This Mother's Day, you can help bring life to both a mother in need and an at-risk baby. One ultrasound is only $28. 5 ultrasounds can be bought with $140. Every penny goes toward loving mothers and babies and saving lives. When you become a monthly sponsor, you're going to receive pictures and stories of the lives that you help to save. To get involved, it's very easy. All you have to do is dial pound 250 and say the word baby. The keyword is baby when prompted to do so. That's pound 250. That's what you dial. The keyword is baby. Or you can go to Al Gore's Amazing Internet and visit preborn.com/plant. That's me, preborn.com/plant. Bum, 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 bum. In the beginning. All right, how much more can I get to? The little time that I have. So much going on in the world. We're going to pack in every action-packed element that we can. So much to get to, so little time. My friend Scott in Texas texted me while I was talking about the most beautiful women in the world story. And he said, Iran. Persian women are fabulous. That's what Scott weighed in with there. And Jasmine, if you call in, Jasmine Persian. And yes, it's a great world. I love this planet. We should keep it. Let's go now to Joe Biden, who doesn't keep much. And he is on The View today. Now, it was supposed to be Joe and Jill Biden on The View today, but I think Jill didn't show up. Oh, did she? She showed up the last few minutes. She was out maybe shacking up with the Secret Service in the car or something. Hard to say because got a reputation. But here is Joe Biden on The View today with, why didn't Kamala win the presidential contest? You'll never guess what Joe Biden's explanation is.
Why do you think the vice president lost, and were you surprised?
Oh. I wasn't surprised, not because I didn't think the vice president was the most qualified person to be president. She is. She's qualified to be president of the United States of America.
Yeah, sure.
But I was surprised. I wasn't surprised because they went the route of the sexist route, the whole route. I mean, this is
the whole
a
route.
Woman, she's this, she's
they all
that.
Agree, yeah.
I mean,
sexist.
Really, I've never seen quite as successful and a consistent campaign under the notion that a woman couldn't lead the country and a woman of mixed race.
It's the whole country, and those Republicans, they're racist and sexist, says the party of the bullwhip in the Confederate States of America. You know, the Democrats.